On February 22nd, 2015, Fernando Alonso crashed during winter testing.
We have this accident, the driver has been treated properly.
An absolute storm of conspiracy theories emerged, with stories about mechanical failure, strong wind, and even an electric shock. It's one of the most talked about crashes of all time. Today, I'll go into depth into this conspiracy story and try to find the truth. After 7.5 years, Fernando Alonso returned to McLaren. It was the first McLaren with a Honda engine since 1992, and Honda's return to Formula One after their sudden departure in 2008. After their first successful partnership with McLaren, this one was highly anticipated. To get the total story and information we need, I'll start at the beginning. Back then, we still had more testing time, and started with pre-season testing on the track of Jerez, Spain. McLaren already tested Honda's first V6 turbo hybrid engine in Abu Dhabi at the end of the season test in 2014, and it didn't go well. The team had a persistent electrical problem and didn't have much running time. In Jerez, the McLaren didn't hit the track straight away because they were still working on it. Alonso finally went out, and the reporters said that the car looked and sounded very stuttery. After 2 hours, Alonso only did one lap. Every time he did an outlap, he re-entered the pits again. He ended the day with only 6 laps. Jenson Button drove the McLaren on the second day, and guess what? He also only did 6 laps. Again, the reporters noted that the car sounded weird and not what they were used to with the other engines. Day 3 was again for Alonso, and he managed to complete 32 laps, but not without problems. The Honda power unit had many issues and prevented the Spaniard from completing more laps. This time, it was an engine failure that stopped them. It was not the start they'd hoped for. On the last day of the Jerez test, Button took the wheel. He completed 35 laps, but again, with problems. He had an oil leak, then had a fuel pump problem. Not only that, but he needed to end the test early. Everybody might have expected too much from McLaren Honda. They definitely had more work to do before the final 4 days of testing in Barcelona. Will McLaren perform better at the second testing, or are the problems still there? Button was the one who started on day 1. After a few installation laps, he set the fastest time in the early morning. He went out for a second run and noted consistent times. Button did a total of 21 laps, but then at 11:50 AM, McLaren Honda said that Button would not drive anymore. A faulty seal on the MGU-K led to a terminal engine problem, meaning they needed to do a full replacement of the power unit. On day 2, Alonso took the wheel. It was supposed to be Jenson Button, but the team knew that this day would be compromised because of the earlier problems. With the driver swap, they both got the same problem and equal testing time. Surprisingly, at 8 AM when testing started, Alonso headed straight out. He did a couple of laps and Honda was determined to make the most of the day. Productive day ahead planned, possibility of limited runs, but an opportunity to maximize testing of the car's balance. Alonso did exactly that. He didn't have any problems, even without a new seal for the power unit's MGU-K. He drove the 5th fastest time and completed 59 laps, the most they did on a single day of testing for the 2015 season. On day 3, it was Jenson Button's turn again. With a repaired McLaren Honda power unit, it was hopefully a fruitful day of testing. Just 90 minutes in, Button stopped his car at turn 7. The car shut down unexpectedly, and Button switched it off completely himself. Later that day, the team confirmed he had a loss of power. After a few hours, Button was back on the track and did some more laps before staying in the pits for a few hours again. Out on his lap, he stopped at the pit exit. At the end of day 3, he completed 21 laps. The team suffered again from an MGU-K failure. Day 4 occurred, and McLaren did another driver swap. In the morning, Fernando Alonso, and after lunch it was Jenson Button. However, the day didn't go as planned. Honda said this was the day with stability as the main focus. The McLaren car was not seen on the track in the first 2 hours of testing. The new engine parts arrived late, and they needed to install them. Alonso went out and put 16 laps on the board with a 7th fastest time. After a short pit stop, Alonso headed out once again. He improved his time, but it was still 2.3 seconds short off the pace on the mediums. At 11:35 AM, a red flag appeared. It seemed that Alonso's McLaren stopped. He completed his last lap, so it had to be in Sector 1. Alonso had crashed into the inside wall between turns 3 and 4. Although there was an ambulance, the circuit reported that Alonso was okay and conscious. He was brought back to the medical center in the ambulance. At 12:12 p.m, everyone was still waiting for further news on Alonso. At 12:19 p.m, the circuit's medical helicopter took off. Every indication was that Alonso required precautionary checks. At 2:06 p.m, McLaren issued a statement. Today, at 11:35 a.m, while testing at the Circuit de Catalunya, during the fourth and final day of the current test, Fernando Alonso's McLaren Honda car left the track at turn 3, causing the right side of his car to strike the wall. Fernando was driven to the circuit's medical center, where the circuit's doctors gave him first aid. He was conscious and spoke with the doctors. However, as per usual procedure in such circumstances, he was then airlifted to the hospital, where he is undergoing precautionary checks. We will issue a further update in due course. At 3:08 p.m, McLaren said the following: Alonso has had a CT scan, no injuries, says the team. At 3:15 p.m, Button would not run in the afternoon, and McLaren's Honda test was over. Now we have all the information about the 2015 pre-season. It's time to address the conspiracies and try to find the truth. What was the cause of Fernando Alonso's crash? Before we go on with the video, including the conspiracies like mechanical failure, strong wind and electric shock, I want to ask for your help. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subs by the end of the year, so I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe and help me out. Okay, let's go further. As said before, there will be many conspiracy theories about this crash, all due to a lack of information. I'll focus on mechanical failure, strong wind, and Alonso being electrocuted. It's good to know McLaren's explanation before we go deeper. Their explanation already caused a lot of confusion. McLaren claimed Alonso had been caught out by strong and unpredictable gusty winds. This was also the reason for Carlos Sainz's crash at turn 3. Alonso later denied this. The race director of McLaren at that time, Eric Buehler, said that Alonso was fine but was concussed during the accident. That's the reason he needed to stay in the hospital. It's a normal procedure. This is strange because first they said he was uninjured. Then we have Ron Dennis, the team boss at that time, who said that Fernando Alonso suffered from a concussion. Later, he decided to clear it up and tell the media Alonso did not suffer from a concussion, only the symptoms. And what did Alonso himself say? He was conscious the whole time. The theory that mechanical failure is the reason for the crash was fueled by Fernando Alonso himself. He returned for the Malaysian Grand Prix and denied everything in McLaren's statement. Alonso claimed that he had a locked steering. He added that not even a hurricane would move the car at that speed. Alonso was driving at around 135 km per hour and crashed at 105 km per hour. Normally, the driver steps out of the car unharmed. This could be true if we consider Sebastian Vettel's comments and the way the car hit the concrete wall. The car headed towards the wall with a sharp angle and straightened out in the grass. This means that the car hit the wall with huge momentum. With a crash like this, the suspension doesn't break that easily. This could mean that all the energy of the crash went into the car, resulting in Alonso being shaken around multiple times. Vettel was behind Alonso and said that the speed was slow. Then suddenly, Alonso turned right into the wall. It looked strange. Vettel later added that it was windy and this could be the cause. This leads us to the next conspiracy. Alonso crashed due to strong wind in turn 3. He simply lost the car, a conspiracy Fernando Alonso denied. It was Carlos Sainz who crashed at the same place and was caught off guard by the wind. Several drivers crashed because of the wind that Sunday. This makes it a possibility. Crosswinds are a pain for drivers and car designers. It upsets the aerodynamics and car balance. With disturbed airflow, it is possible that the car breaks out, understeers or oversteers. In 2015, turn 3 required a mid-corner lift, which already destabilized the car. This, with a sudden gust, could be enough to make the McLaren tricky to drive, even for someone like Fernando Alonso. But what if something else was the reason? This is a wild conspiracy. Fernando Alonso suffered an electric shock from his McLaren Honda MP430. A lot of news outlets reported this, with Honda struggling to understand the complex energy recovery systems. Could this be the truth? Both McLaren and Alonso's manager denied these claims, blaming the wind once again. This conspiracy was fueled by the Spanish newspaper, El País. They reported that Alonso told the doctors it was the year 1995, and that he said, "I'm Fernando, I'm in karts, and I want to become a Formula 1 driver." A Formula 1 driver, Fabrizio Barbaza, claimed that Alonso suffered a 600-watt hit from the car. This led to him being unconscious and driving into the wall. Alonso was slowed down before the hit, which could mean he was indeed unconscious before the accident. These are the biggest conspiracy stories about Fernando Alonso's crash in 2015, but was it a mechanical failure, strong wind, or an electric shock that caused it? I do think it's a mechanical failure or an electric shock. Alonso said it was a mechanical failure, and we know he always speaks his mind, but if it was a locked steering wheel, why did we never see any footage of the crash? Why is the accident more of a conspiracy than an actual accident? This leads us to the electric shock. If we go back to the beginning of the video and look back at the testing in Abu Dhabi, Jerez, and Barcelona, what is a common theme? Engine issues, especially the MG UK. What does the MG UK do? In simpler terms, every time you brake, you win back energy. That energy is stored in a battery, and this energy is used to give extra power to the engine. So, every time a driver brakes or lifts, they win energy back. The whole week of testing in Barcelona was torture with MG UK problems. They suffered from sudden power loss, or it totally broke down. Honda did everything to repair it, but this wasn't easy. This makes me wonder, was it really as simple as a gust of wind? My gut feeling tells me otherwise. This is somewhat confirmed with zero footage of the accident. The only thing we have is fan footage and some photographs. If it was wind, Alonso would definitely try to keep the car out of the wall. With his car acting strange and going straight for the wall, he didn't try to prevent it. This leads me back to only two options. Alonso did have a mechanical failure. This failure was so faulty, McLaren asked Formula 1 not to show any footage as it could damage their brand. Or he was, in fact, electrocuted and lost consciousness in the car. This matches the weird behavior of the car, and Alonso doing nothing about it. I think it's the second option. Alonso was indeed electrocuted, and Formula 1, McLaren, and Honda didn't say anything about it. This could be a huge story and damage all the parties involved, especially with the popularity of Fernando Alonso. But what is your opinion? Do you think it was a mechanical failure, strong wind, or an electric shock? Am I on the right track? If you enjoyed this video, you definitely want to watch one of these on screen right now. Don't miss out, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe.